Welcome and good evening, good morning to those of you who are joining us today. Today's session is Centralize Your Configurations with Azure App Configuration, and we're delighted to be welcoming back Massimo Bonanni, who is an Azure technical trainer, and we'll hear from Massimo in just a couple of minutes. And just to talk you through today's session, it will be 60 minutes long. This session is being recorded and the recording will go onto the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in the next couple of days. A link to that site will be posted through the Q&A. And with the Q&A, please do ask as many questions as you have throughout. Any comments or feedback are also welcome throughout the Q&A as well. So I'll hand over to Massimo to get us started with today.
Okay, thank you. Hi to everyone. My name is Massimo, as Emma said and I am an Azure technical trainer. And today, this afternoon, I would like to talk to you about Azure App Configuration. I explain you what are the features that you can have in App Configuration and the scenarios you can implement using this service. Before we start, I want to remember you our code of conduct, and it's important because the way you approach to the other people is very important. So respect the other and be funny with this meetup. Okay, let's start with the definition of Azure App Configuration. It's a service that allows you to centralize and manage the application settings and manage feature flags. I will show you what is the application, what it means application settings and what it means feature flag, but it's a service you can create and you can interact with to store in a safe way, encrypted way, in a single place, your application settings. And as usual, when you centralize the application, when you centralize your data, you can check, you can monitor, you can audit what users, what applications interact with them, and you can understand what is the situation of your data. So this is the definition. Let's start with the features that App Configuration exposes to you. First of all, the simplest one is the key value store. You can store your configuration data as you can do in your configuration file. In your configuration file, you have a key value pairs. I don't know, the color of your background is red. The foreground of your text is black. I don't know. So background red, foreground black is two key value pairs you can use in your configuration file, and you can take. I show you in the demo. You can take this data from your configuration file and put on the App Configuration service, first of all. Second one, you can use the point-in-time snapshot. I show you later in this meetup what is point-in-time snapshot. The idea is you change your configuration during the time, and every time you want, you can come back to the particular date and time and retrieve the data and recreate the configuration exactly in that time. So you can navigate your time backward, forward and backward when you want, and retrieve and recreate the configuration as you want. I show you later. Third feature management. Feature management is a way to deploy your code, to deploy new feature, new functionalities in your application. Deploying your code is there, is in your deploy, but you can enable that code using a switch, okay, a software switch. You can manage all your switches in feature management part of the app configuration, and I show you a demo for that. You can, probably you know feature management as a feature flag, yeah, but it's the same, okay. The fourth key is the security. App configuration is a data service, so it's a service in Azure that contains data. So in this way, as all the service that contains data, the service encrypt the data at rest. so you can have your data encrypted. You can use private endpoint to use your app configuration in a virtual network, and also you can use managed identity to integrate the app configuration with KeyVault. If you are interested in KeyVault, the last week I had a meetup here to KeyVault. What we see for KeyVault, your application with KeyVault, it's valid if you use the app configuration with KeyVault, so in the same time. So you have your app configuration, your app read from app configuration, and the app configuration read from KeyVault. So you can have the full control of all the chain between your app, your configuration data, and your secrets. So it's interesting. It's an interesting scenario. So the benefit. You can have a fully managed service. It's easy to create a new service. I tell you later in this meetup the cost of the service, but you can create without any problem in a couple of minutes, and you set up the service in a couple of minutes. You can use, as I said, key value pair to identify every single configuration in your application, and you can have a hierarchy of your configuration exactly as you do in your configuration file. You can tag your configuration key pair with the labels, so you can have the same key pair for different environment, dev, test, and production, or you can use the label to have different version for a single key value pair, or you can mix the label. You can use the label to create the environment and version as you want. Okay, the point in time is fantastic because you can change your configuration. If something goes wrong, you can come back to previous configuration, pointing dated time in the last 7 days, sorry, or 30 days. It depends on the plan you use in the app configuration. You have an UI to manage the feature flag, so you can have the list of used feature flag. You can enable this one, that one, and so on. So simply use the UI, but of course you can use the API exposed by the app configuration or PowerShell and CLI as usual, because it is an Azure service, so you can use as usual the portal, PowerShell, and command line interface. You can compare two sets of configuration. I don't know, the configuration I have now and the configuration I had 3 years ago, I don't know, 3 days ago. You can compare and show the difference between the two configuration and merge the data from one configuration to another. And of course, it is an Azure service, so you can secure the connection from your application to that service to app configuration using managed identities, as you can do for with app configuration and KeyVault. So you can have the full chain between your app and your secret through the app configuration and secure this chain using managed identity. And yeah, the data is encrypted. You cannot remove the encryption. The data is encrypted at rest because the data in app configuration is saved encrypted. And of course, if you can interact with the service with the HTTPS, so you have the encryption also in transit, so it's okay. And finally, I show you in .NET Core, you can integration with the popular framework. So you have an SDK for Node.js, for .NET Core or Java and so on. But the service exposes some API, some REST API. So if you don't have an SDK, you can use the API. Let's go. Point in time. Every time you change a key value, the app configuration keeps the records of this modification, of this update, and you have an history, a timeline. You can navigate backward and forward as you want. So you have a timeline, as I said you. Every time we change the value, we have a new record, we have a new snapshot in the time. You can navigate. You can come back or compare your configuration, your current configuration with another configuration in the past without any problem. And of course, you can reconstruct the history so you can understand what's happened between a valid configuration and invalid configuration without looking at file or ask for someone and so on. You look at the app configuration, look at the point in time snapshot, you can understand what's happened for every single value you change in the time. And finally, yes, I can say you can time travel backward and retrieve all the key value to retrieve a stable situation, a stable configuration, and then understand what's happened. Okay, so you can retrieve immediately the situation. You can come back to the stable situation, to a configuration that works without looking for in different files or in different applications. You have just one place you can look at and you can interact with. Okay, just simple. Perfect. As I said you before, in this meetup, we have different interaction with different framework. For .NET Core, you can find the same approach for other languages. When you use .NET Core, the SDK provides you a configuration provider. So you change just the startup of your application. In the startup, you say, hey, AskNet, when in the code you read the configuration as usual, you don't read the configuration in the file, but go to the app configuration and read from app configuration. You need a connection string I show you in the demo. A connection string is a string that contains the name of the app configuration service, the URL, sorry, but it's the same. It's similar, and the key you can use to interact with. Of course, you can use the role-based access control and the Azure Active Directory to secure the connection between your application and app configuration. But the idea is, if you want to use app configuration provider, if you want to use app configuration in your .NET Core, you need to change your code, yes, but you need to change only the startup class and say, hey, web builder, hosting of your website, use the app configuration provider to read the configuration. Then you remove the data from your file, from your configuration section in the app config, in app setting, in the app service, sorry, and put that data in app configuration. You have a tool to do that. I'll show you later in the demo. Let's start with the demo. Let me. Okay, the demo is this one I show in the portal. Okay, this is a simple website. As you can see, we have a background. I look at the configuration. Okay, we have a background. We have a foreground. The background is white. The foreground is blue. If I go there, I read some information from the configuration file. Yeah, this one, secret and config from configuration file. It is the same demo I showed you last week, because I have the same demo. I put them in the slide. I put the GitHub link to this repo, the repo that contains this demo. If I go to the configuration of the app service, I have the configuration here, and you can see, let's go Azure, okay. For example, background color, white is there, the foreground color, blue is there, and I don't know, the title, yeah, secret and config configuration file is there. So in this configuration now, the website, go to the configuration and read the data. Let me change something here just to enable the configuration, the app configuration provider. I just use because I write some code here. Let me change this one in app config. Sorry, yeah, okay. Let me save. Yep. And what we need to see in the portal, in the website, the color will change, and the title will change it, and the title is not here. The title and color is not here, but in app configuration. Show you immediately. Okay. Let's go. As you can see, the background is Azure and the color is green and the title is changed. Okay. Now my website is reading that data from app configuration. Look at the app configuration before we see the code. Yeah, because I think it's important to understand how app configuration is created. This is the app configuration service. Okay, you have the access keys. The access keys is the keys. One of these keys you can use to interact with the app configuration. As you can see here, you have the connection string. I show you the connection string. As you can see, you have the name, yeah, and also a key. Okay, you don't need to give this key to other people. So if after this meetup I need to kill you because you see my key, now I regenerate the key because you see the key. The key is important. It's one of the secrets. You can use, for example, KeyVault to store that key. You can have two types of key, just to read only and to read write. I suggest to use read only for your application if your application needs to read only the data. But anyway, you can do whatever you want. Then, and this is the encryption place. This tile, I use the standard tile and I cannot change, but if you use another tile, you can change encryption in the way you can use your key in KeyVault to encrypt your data. Yeah. And finally, Configuration Explorer is the part of the app configuration you can use to interact with the configuration value. For example, background, exactly the same key value pair I have in the configuration. I have a section called public section. Inside that section, I have a value, background color, as usual. This is Azure, exactly this color here. This is green, exactly this one. And this is a title, exactly that one. You can use your app settings data to fire the changes. So for example, you can use a value Sentinel. And when this Sentinel change, your website can reload the data. So you don't need to restart your application to read new data. When you change the data in your app configuration file, you need to restart your application. Yeah. In this way, you can implement the reading without restarting. Yeah, there is no problem. I show you the feature manager briefly in another demo. Yeah, this is the way you can compare. For example, I don't know when I change my data. I don't know, but you can change. You can select a date time here, another date time here, or different label, and you have the list of the value from source to destination. And you can understand what is a change between one and another. Okay. An interest tool is this one, import and export. The scenario is you already add an app in production with a fully configuration file with a lot of data. You need to copy that data from that file to the app configuration. You simply go there, select, I don't know, an app service. Select the app service. I select another one. Let me check this one. You choose an app configuration, apply, and the Azure for you copy all the data from the configuration file in the app configuration. Okay, so porting the data from configuration file and in app configuration is running the import tool in the portal, and of course change the code. I show you the code. This one. Just change this part. no, sorry, the program one. Yeah, this part. In this implementation, I use the configuration, the environment variable, to change the reading from app configuration to configuration from the file system from file configuration in the app service to the app configuration. The way I change in the configuration from default configuration in app configuration, and simply add Azure App Configuration. You need to add, of course, a package. The package is Azure.app configuration as plant core. In this package, you can have all the classes you need to define to use the configuration provider you need. In the configuration provider, you can configure the connection with the connection string, and of course the filtering with the label. So for example, you can have the same application in different app service. Each app service use a different label and read the same configuration in the app configuration service. Okay, it's easy to do. And for that point, in the other part of the code, I simply use the configuration. I read the configuration as usual using the configuration interface without any problem. So it's very easy to change the behavior of your application to reading the configuration in a different way. And for example, if I want to, I don't know, if I want to read all the value for development label, I simply development label, simply use this method, and when the provider goes to the app configuration, say to app configuration, I want this key, the title for that label, development. So I can use the same label for all the environment. So typically I can use the environment variable, the environment name for the label, but you can do whatever you want, okay? It's not a problem. The best practice, it's a good idea, because in this way you can have the same logical configuration for different label for different version of environment in the same app configuration. So the same app configuration contains all the data you need for the different environment. Of course, you can have different app configuration, but you pay. You can have only one app configuration free, and the other app configuration you need to pay. So the idea is use only one app configuration free, and inside it you can put different environment using the label. Okay. You can find this application in one of the GitHub I copied in the slide. In the end of the slide, you have a slide with all the reference, the official documentation, and 2 repo in GitHub, one for this project and one for another project I show you later in this meetup. Okay, let's go ahead. We are on time. Strange. Feature flag. What is feature flag? Feature flag is a way you can deploy, you can distribute your code. Generally, when you create a new feature, you create a branch in your GitHub repo, in your repo. Then you create different branch for different feature. Then when the feature is ready, you merge the branch in the master and deploy. The other feature, merge in the master and deploy. The idea is I write my new feature in the code, but I disable it. When and I continue to deploy the version with the code inside, but you cannot use the code because it's disabled. Just an if, for example. When I want to deploy new feature, when I want to expose the new feature, I turn on the switch, the feature flag, I turn on, and my if in the code. It's a logical if. I show you how you can implement in your code. It's a logical if, but if you think about this approach, you have an if, because if the feature flag is on, make the new feature. If the feature flag is off, the feature is there, but you cannot use it. Okay. The idea is to manage this flag outside your application, and app configuration allow you to do that, to do this feature, this operation, these tasks, using the same panel, the same UI you are using for the app configuration. Basic concept about the feature flag. The feature flag is a variable, basically is a logical variable with the binary state on off. When you need to, of course, this feature flag is associated to a code block, also more than one code block. Probably you have an interface, you have a part of the interface that is enabled or not based on the feature flag. And of course, you have part of your background backend code, backend feature that enabled based on feature flag. And when you need to enable your feature, you turn on the switch, and that's all. The feature manager is the software, the service you use to manage the switches, okay? And the idea is you can manage these switches manually, but you can integrate the on-off of the switch with the DevOps pipeline. App configuration allow to do that. So you can have a pipeline, and when the pipeline deploy a new version of your application and the particular feature must be enabled, the DevOps pipeline can interact with the feature manager in app configuration and turn on the switch. Okay. The idea, the interesting is you can apply a filter to the feature flag. So the feature flag is not on-off, but is off, of course. And when you go on, the flag goes on for a certain types of group or user or device and so on. And the filter, you can implement your filter in your code. So it's very, 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 very power, the use of the filter. You can have, I don't know, a geographic location and time windows and so on. So it's not a simple on-off switch, but maybe a on-off with a filter. So the on is for all the users, but you can have all the user for a particular device or all user for a particular browser and so on. So you can interact with the feature manager and the feature flag with different filtering. How you can use the feature flag? You need a package. You need to package the ASP.NET Core feature management, ASP.NET Core, and feature management. You can use the dependency injection. You can use the startup phase. In the startup phase, you can define that you want to use a feature management. What's happened? The package ASP.NET Core and feature management inject for you an interface, okay, that allow you to manage the feature flag. The interface is a iFeature Manager. The iFeature Manager gives you the capability to interact with the service. So, for example, if I want to know if a feature called feature A is enabled or not, just simply call the method is enabled async and the name of the feature. This method has different signatures. One of these allow you to pass some data to evaluate the filter if you use the filter. So it's very, very simple. Of course, you need to change the code because your code must be aware that you are using a feature flag, of course. And this is for your backend code. But if you're using, I don't know, Razor, for example, for the front end, or you are using MVC, you can use some other feature provided by the package ASP.NET Core. You can have, for example, action or controller filter. This one is a controller filter, feature gate. This one is the same applied to an action. The platform check the feature flag in the app configuration for you, yeah. Or you can use a tag helper in the front end, in the page. Feature name feature A. If feature A is enabled, you see this can only be seen if feature A is enabled. If feature A is not enabled, you cannot see the data. So You can interact with the app configuration in code, but also you can simplify your controller, your action, and your Razor page using the tag helper or the filtering. Okay, the action and controller filter. I show you in the demo. Now I start from the code. And yeah. Oh, I start from the portal, yeah, because I want to show you a thing. Not this one, this one. If you remember, when I click on configuration, before I change the configuration and say to the portal that I want to read from the app configuration, I have a title, read configuration reading, and 3 link. Now I have only 2. I have another link here, but you cannot see because the feature flag is off. Now, what I want to do, enable feature flag, and magically the new feature appear here. Then I show you how I implement in the code. So go to the app configuration. Yeah, I don't want to import. Go to the feature manager. First of all, if I want to create a new feature flag, add, I give a name. I give a label. I can use a label also in feature flag. A description. The description is good because I can understand what is the feature. This is only the name, a string, okay? But description may be used. I want to use some filtering, and I can change this interface. I can change a custom, a time window, or targeting. And targeting, I can change a user group and so on. This interface is was changed in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, but it's the same. It's pretty similar. This part is allow you to configure the filtering. Basically a percentage, but you can use the groups, a time, or a custom filter if you want. Okay. Of course you can enable immediately. I discard this one because I have another one prepared. Yeah, this is. Sorry for the Italian, but yeah, this feature enable the reading of secret using app configuration. Okay, the link you don't see in the portal. I enable this one. That's allow me to go to the website. I configure the code because I need to restart the app configuration, but the app site, the website, but it's not a problem. You can configure to read every time from the app configuration. And now, if all is okay, you see a new link. This is a new feature I want to provide to my user. Just simply enable the flag. And in the code, what's happened? This is the controller. Okay. I use the iFeature manager in the controller. I use the dependency injection in ASP.NET Core to inject the instance of iFeature manager. If I use this approach and I don't want to use app configuration, I need to create my iFeature manager, mock iFeature manager to substitute the real one, the actual one. But of course, if you change from nothing to feature manager and you choose app configuration, you don't come back. Okay. Anyway, yeah. In the index page, you see the index page here. This is the index page. Okay. The index action that provide you the index page. If the secret with AAD feature is enabled, I change something in the model, and then in the Razor I check if this model is true. I show a link. Otherwise, I don't see the link. I don't show the link. And in the action corresponding to the link, where is the link? Okay. When I enter in the action, I can use, of course, the filter here. It's the same. But just to show you that if you want, you can implement your behavior without the filter, the action filter, the controller, the filter controller, or the tag helper. if the feature is not enabled, I redirect you to the index. So you cannot go to that feature also if you know the URL. Okay, it's quite simple. And yeah, your application must be aware that you are using a feature manager, of course, but you need to put some code in the logical if. And when you use the feature flag in general, not in this case, but in general, during the time you have a lot of if also logical if you use the action filter. The idea is when a feature becomes stable, you remove the if, you remove the filtering, you remove this if here, because otherwise your cyclomatic complexity of your code is biggest. Okay, grow up in a bad way. Okay, so the idea is I use a feature manager. When the feature is stable, I remove the feature manager for that particular feature, and of course I remove the feature manager record for a particular feature in the app service store. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. This one. Yeah, I can go to continue to the slide. We have another part and another demo. What about resiliency and disaster recovery? The app configuration, I want to show you in the portal. Yeah, this one. When you create an app configuration, you set a location. Okay, the app configuration is a region scope service, so you need to put in a region. It's not necessary that the region is the same of your application, but you put your app service app configuration in a region. What's happened if the region goes down? Now you don't have any way to replicate the data, but you can, in your application, use more than one configuration store. So you can say to your application, when you read your configuration in the configuration provider, I go to the Visual Studio, sorry, here, and you go there. When you say connect, you can say connect to this one, to that one, to the other one. So you can have more than one connection to different app configuration. So you can have a primary, what you say it is my primary app configuration, and you can have a secondary and so on. Okay, so if you draw the situation is that your application is connected to different app configuration, of course, in different region. The problem is how I can synchronize, how I can replicate the data when I add a new key value pair in the primary. I want that automatically this value must be replicated in the secondary one. How I can do it? I can use the events emits by the app configuration. The app configuration emits two kind of events. One, when you add a new key value or replace, modify, change a key value. And another one when you delete a key value. This is an example of the payload of an event for key value modified. You have in the data, you have the name of the key, the label, the e-tag. You can use the e-tag to identify in a unique way a setting inside the KeyVault, inside the app configuration, but it's enough if you have a key and the label, but you have also the e-tag. What is the approach? First of all, you can use event grid to routing the event generated for the primary app configuration in the queue, in a queue. Okay, so every time someone changes something in the primary app configuration, the app configuration emits an event. Event grid take this event and write this event in a queue, in a storage queue. Then you can create a function that periodically start and read the data from the queue, read the message in the queue. So every change happened in the primary configuration, that use the SDK to read the data, in the event you have the key and the label, but not the value. So you need to interact with the primary configuration store to read the value, and then using the value, starting from the key and the label, reading the value to the primary, and using this value, go to the secondary app configuration store and update, add, or delete the value. Okay, it's not complicated to implement this function. You can find the same approach in the documentation, but you don't find the code. So I write a demo for you, and I want to show you. Let me change the resource group because I have in another resource group. Yeah, this one. And this one, let me close this one. I have a primary app configuration service and secondary. Just I name it the primary because for me it's the primary. Of course, you can change the name, but you need to identify one app configuration as primary and the other one as a secondary. Everyone need to know that every time you need to add a new key or delete a key or modify a key, you need to do in the primary. Otherwise, you don't have the synchronization, okay? Because the synchronization, the replication is not out of box. It's implemented using a function. So I want to show you what's happened. Let me stop this function. This function run every, I don't remember, but I think every 30 seconds. I want to stop because I want to show you in the Visual Studio. In the Visual Studio, in the observe, in the function, I create a function, this one, okay, starting from a timer for a timer trigger. So every 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or 1 minute, every time you want. Go to the queue, read the message from the queue. I can have more than one message, so I need to read all the messages, and I read the message using a chunk of 30 messages. You can configure this in configuration, it's not a problem. Then if I have some message, I connect to the app service, so the app configuration, sorry, and starting from the message is a string, is the JSON that you see in the slide. I create an object event. The object is this one, exactly the deserialization of the JSON. Okay, and if the message is a key value modified, I do something. If is a KeyVault deleted, I do something else. This object is an object that I use through an interface, this interface, because I want that my function is testable. So I want to create a unit test for this function. I don't have now a unit test, but I want to insert a new project for the unit test. So in the future, I would like to test this one. But if I want to test this function, I need to remove the connection from queue and the connection from the app configuration. I need to do the same for the queue in the future. Go to the service that allow you to interact with the app service, the app configuration, sorry. I need this one. This is the client you can use to interact with app configuration. Last week we see KeyVault client. It was the client to interact with the KeyVault. This one is the client to interact with app configuration. The approach is the same. You need the connection string. I read the connection string from the configuration file, and I create the primary and the secondary. The primary, I read from the primary and write on the secondary. When I need to upsert, I use the upsert to add or modify. I get data. This method allows me to go to the primary app configuration using the key, using the label, and retrieve the data. The data is an object, contains the key, the label, the tag, and the value, and use this setting to set a configuration in the secondary client. Okay, it's simple. And for deletion is the same. Just call the delete configuration setting in the secondary using the key, using the label. So as you can see, I don't use the tag here. You have some methods to use the tag if you want. I don't need. And it's quite simple. So the primary, every time I change something in the primary write an event in a queue using event grid. When the function starts, every 15 seconds, read the message from the queue, and for each message, understand if it is a new value, an update of an existing value, or a deletion of a value. Go to the value is new or is an update. Go to the primary, take the value, and change the value in the secondary. I want to show you exactly what's happened. I go there. I put a breakpoint here. Let me check. I use as connection string the app configuration. Okay, the app configuration primary and secondary. Let me check if this one is started. Okay, maybe yes. I hope there is no new version of Azure function. Okay. There I go to the portal. Yeah, this one. I go to the primary. So I show you how you can add the new value. This is empty, so I create a new one. Oh, sorry, because yeah, I have a breakpoint in here. Sorry. Okay. I have previous breakpoint. I don't remove it. Reactor. Value, apply. Let we see if the function is stopped in the breakpoint. Come on. I hope that the function will stop here. Come on. I don't remember what is the start. Every 30 seconds. Yeah, you need to wait for 30 seconds. But anyway, we wait. So if I go to the queue, I can find the message. Okay, the message is there. Yeah. What kind of message I have? Let me check if I have some. I need to check if I use the right connection string. Otherwise, I enable the function in the portal and I show in the portal is the same. Yeah, probably I have some error here. Let me stop here. I show in the portal is the same. So let me change this one. I don't know what's happened, but it's not a problem. Okay, let me check. Remove this one. Okay, yes. I want to show you the full. I start the deployed one. It's the same code. Just I want to stop to show in the port in the Visual Studio, but some changes in the configuration in the connection string. So I don't want to understand now what's happened. I understand what's happened later in this after the meetup. I create a new one. Now, first of all, I want to show you in the secondary that I don't have any value. I hope I don't have any value. I add a value here, and I can do using the configuration explorer or the import tool is the same. Key value MS reactor. And the value is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And label the demo. Sorry. Okay, I want to use this one. Apply. Let me go to the secondary. Yeah, this one. Go there. We wait that the function run, and probably after some time, I don't remember if 15 seconds or 30 seconds, I can see the data here. What's happened now? Let me check. Come on. Let me check on the function. Let's start. Yeah, well, I have some execution here. Come on. Okay, but you understand. I can assure you that this demo it's working before the meetup, but as usual in the demo. Yeah, okay. This is the value. Okay, I just need to wait. This is the key, this is the value, this is the label. So I synchronize one of the primary with the secondary, and of course, if I go there in the primary, in the Explorer, and I remove, and I can change if I want to remove, just to show you. Wait some time, I don't remember, 15 seconds, if I remember well, but I need to check in the configuration. Go there. Come on, let's go, everybody. Come on, come on, come on. Sometimes, after sometimes I need to, I check and I don't find the key because, yeah, the function run and remove. In this way, I can have one primary and more than one secondary, of course, just to enable a different function with different, one function that read the data or different queue for each secondary, but you can understand, you can enable the replication as you want. You can find the code in my GitHub. I promise you that in the future I add testing and something similar and a README that describe the synchronization, the replication, but you can understand the way is there. So you can use now, because you don't have out of the box replication, you don't have any in app configuration. Now you can use the event emission by the app configuration and use something like function to create, to synchronize the secondary with the primary. Okay. We talk about cost. How much? You have one free instance of the app configuration for each subscription. For example, I use the free one for the first demo, and for the second demo, I have two app configuration. I need to pay for each of these configuration app configurations instance. You pay €1.02 per day, more or less 31 euro each month. Yeah, you need to pay for that. You pay for each 10,000 requests that you have in app configuration. You pay €0.051 for each 10,000 requests. The first 200,000 requests are in the daily charge. If you try to make 200,000 divided by 10,000 requests, you multiply for this, you have this amount of money. But you pay €1 if you call your app configuration, or if your app configuration doesn't receive any request. So you pay €1 per day. So my demo cost €60 each month. Okay. Okay. Why you need to use you use app configuration? Why? What is the advantage? First of all, you centralize the config. You can have different role. You can have the people that manage the config and the people that deploy your application. It's not the same. Like in the KeyVault, but KeyVault is for the secrets. And if you centralize the config, you can have an audit, a log, to understand what is the application that call the app configuration and try to read the data. And of course, you can secure your data. You can audit, so you can audit your config. You can enhance the security because you can connect to your app configuration if you are the credential, if you are the grants to do this connection. Otherwise, you cannot read the config, and you can reduce the complexity because sometimes in different application you have the same configuration. Okay, the layout, the logo, I don't know, the colors is the same. You put the configuration in one point. If you need to change the color, you change in one service, and you have in different app service in different website. So you can reduce the complexity in your configuration if you use a central place you put your configuration. And finally, you can centralize your feature flag. You can use external service. There are several services outside the Azure that provide you the same features. So an endpoint REST you can interact with to understand if a feature is on or off. Yeah, but you can use, of course, the app configuration to centralize your flags. So we finished. I am here for question. This is my reference. So if you want, you can interact with me with mail or LinkedIn or whatever you want. I see some question. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, you can find the code in the GitHub. The tutorial is already in the documentation, but is in the official tutorial. You don't have the code, so just the pieces in plus with the tutorial you can find in the documentation. If you have some question, I am here. I remember you. This is my reference. If you want, you can interact with me. In the slide, you will find this link. These are the GitHub repo I show you in the demo. This is the first and second demo, and this one is for the third demo for the synchronization. Yeah, okay. I'm finished. If you have some question, otherwise, have a great evening, a great night, a great day, whatever you want. You are okay.
Thank you so much, Massimo. It's been great to have you on today's session. We will just wait a couple more minutes to see if there's any more questions that come through. So yeah, if there's any remaining questions, feel free to send them through. If not, you can reach out to Massimo on his contact information that was provided. Otherwise, you can always submit questions into the Meetup page, and we can go back and answer those. So it's not just during the session, but we can also answer questions afterwards. And as I mentioned, this session was recorded, and I will send the YouTube link in now to the Reactor YouTube channel. So hopefully this session will go live early next week at the latest, and YouTube, that link that I just sent, is where you will find it. Okay, I don't see any more questions.
I don't see any questions
coming through. No. So thank you everyone for attending. It's been great to have you back again, and hope to see you all at the next Reactor session.
Bye bye and ciao ciao.